Have you ever met someone who studied Japanese for years, but when they talk to Japanese coworkers, it still feels awkward? Here's the truth. You can memorize every grammar rule, every kanji, and still not be fluent. Because real fluency in Japanese isn't just about speaking the language. It's about thinking the Japanese way. If you work with Japanese people, you probably noticed this. They're polite, they listen more than they speak, and they usually avoid being too direct. But why is that? And how can you actually learn to communicate the same way the Japanese do, so that you sound more natural, earn respect, and actually connect? That's what we're going to be talking about today. How to become fluent in Japanese, not just linguistically, but culturally in 2025. The first thing I want to mention is why language alone isn't enough at all. Most people learn Japanese the wrong way. They treat it like math, memorizing words. We all heard this, right? Rules and patterns, but ignoring the human side of it, right? So the Japanese workplace is built on harmony. We call it wa culture, kind of keeping the peace so that everyone can focus and perform, right? That's exactly why communication isn't about being clear or direct. Like in many Western cultures, it's about being considerate in Japan. If you miss that part, you're going to always sound foreign, even if your grammar is perfect. So the goal isn't really just to learn how to speak Japanese, it's learning how to connect in Japanese. I want to show you the hidden rules in Japanese workplaces. So politeness and listening, right? In Japanese offices, the most respected people are often the quietest. Isn't that crazy? They listen carefully, they speak gently, and when they respond, it's usually thoughtful and very balanced. You're gonna often hear things like "そうですね" or "naruhodo." And when I say this, it's not about agreeing blindly, it's about showing respect for the other person's words. So being polite in Japan doesn't just mean saying please and thank you, it means creating an environment where everyone can relax and do their best work. That's why being too direct, something that's often praised in Western culture, can sometimes feel very rude or aggressive in Japan. If you always feel nervous when talking to Japanese people or you're just not sure what to say, I'm inviting you to one of my workshops. It's free, calm down guys. It's called the Japanese Confidence Workshop, and you're gonna be working with me one-on-one for 1 hour for free, okay? What are you gonna get? I'm gonna teach you the exact words that you need to say when approaching people so that you don't feel nervous anymore. Go fill out the form from the link below and I'll see you there. And right now you're probably wondering why Japanese people aren't too direct. Let's kind of dig into this. Why aren't Japanese people direct? It all comes down to one powerful concept. It's kuki, literally the air, meaning the atmosphere of a situation. So in Japan, people are typically taught to read the air. That means that when you sense people's emotions, intentions, and timing without them saying it out loud. So instead of saying no, like a rejection, you're gonna hear ちょっと難しいですね or また検討します. It's not dishonesty, it's harmony. The belief that keeping peace in public helps everybody stay focused and productive. And once you understand this, you're going to realize that Japanese isn't a direct language, it's a social language. This is very important when you're learning. So now that we know this, the cultural background, let's talk about how to actually become fluent, both culturally and linguistically. Here's your 4-step roadmap. So this is usually what I do with my students too, so it's very important for you too. First, listen more than you speak. This is in general, guys. In Japan, silence isn't awkward at all. It's usually the opposite. It shows respect. Listen deeply. Notice the tone, pauses, and kind of the word choices. All right. Step 2, you should usually shadow real conversation. So don't just rely on textbooks, guys. You should watch Japanese dramas if you can. Watch meetings or interviews. Just practice there. Right. Mimic how they speak. Their rhythm, tone, and flow matters a lot. And step 3 is using softer expressions just in general. Japanese communication is kind of like verbal judo. It's really soft, but powerful. Remember, we're not trying to kill the other person, we're trying to neutralize the conversation. So, for example, if you want something, instead of saying, I want this, so give it to me, you can say something like, こちらをお願いできますか? Which means like, can you kind of at least consider this for me, right? Or instead of saying, that's wrong, you're wrong, you can say, もう少し確認した方がいいかもしれませんね, right? Which means let's make sure about the facts first, right? So you're still expressing your point, but just wrapped in consideration, if that makes sense. My final step will be learning cultural timing. So when you speak, matters as much as what you say. After someone finishes, you should pause slightly before replying. This shows thoughtfulness and respect. These small changes make a huge difference in how Japanese people perceive you. And overall, when you blend cultural fluency with language fluency, something powerful happens. And I call this trust. Your coworkers stop seeing you as kind of like the foreigner who speaks Japanese, and they usually start seeing you as someone who gets us, someone who understands our culture, right? And that's when people start sharing real opinions, opportunities and ideas with you. And in business in Japan, trust is everything. Let me tell you, it's really important. Cultural fluency turns your Japanese from like correct to authentic, if that makes sense. So here's kind of your fluency mindset for 2025. First, let's focus on patterns and not just words. Learning how Japanese sentences flow naturally. This is the language part, right? And also, kind of the mindset part that I want to talk about is being okay with not knowing much is totally fine. We should start like that because, like I said in other videos, every mistake is a step closer to fluency. And fluency is our goal, right? So it's better to make mistakes and reach our goal faster instead of kind of like being stuck here and not making mistakes, right? Also, you want to feel the culture, not just the grammar. Like I said, Japanese is an emotional language. It's a cultural language, not a direct language. The more you sense the mood, kind of the atmosphere in general, the more natural you're gonna sound. Because at the end of the day, being fluent in Japanese isn't about speaking it. It's about feeling it right here. I hope whatever I talked about in this video made sense. And guys, if this helped you, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps the channel. And like I said, if you want to know exactly what to say in real Japanese business situations, like meetings or small talk, go down and check my free 1-hour workshop in the description below. That was Sean reporting from the Nagoya region, and I'll talk to you in our next one. Bye-bye.